I'm Brendan Gulick. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown. And that's kind of how I feel about Ohio State's defense. You know, you talk about the lack of juice. To me, I don't know if it was necessarily, I don't know if I would say it was a lack of juice. I thought Ohio State played with some emotion. I thought they played against a team, players, coaches, fans. I mean, they played against a brand yesterday that was absolutely desperate, full-blown desperate to win. And I think Ohio State really, really wanted to win, but I don't think they necessarily felt that ambition the way Michigan did, because they haven't won since 2011, and they're sick and tired of hearing about losing to Ohio State. And I think the game was largely won at the line of scrimmage. You know, Ohio State's skill position guys, especially on the outside, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are full-blown superstars, and all three of them yesterday made unbelievable plays. CJ Stroud is not the reason the Buckeyes lost this game. Now, I don't know if he's going to win the Heisman. He's certainly still in the conversation. It would have helped, I think, had he won yesterday. But, 34 of 49 for 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He also ran in a touchdown that was negated by a holding call. Stroud was not the reason the Buckeyes lost yesterday. And I'm not even that concerned with Ohio State essentially abandoning the run because they were chasing the game and needed to go through the air. Like, the balance isn't there. That's not great, but that didn't bother me as much as the defense did. Ohio State's defense after week 2 is number 5 in the country in several statistical categories. They were among the best scoring defenses in the country. They're the number 2 rush defense in the country after week 2. And they gave up almost 300 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground yesterday. Like, what the heck happened? Michigan was so much more physical at the line of attack. It's disheartening, man. It was really, really frustrating.
I'm really eager to see what Tommy says when he breaks down the film. Hopefully you're able to do that a little bit later this week. Because my first impression watching, and I haven't watched anything back a second time, and but my first impression as it was happening live was really, really poor job of gap contain and run fits for linebackers. All right. So what does that mean exactly? Right. That's a football term. Okay. Essentially what we're talking about here is linebacker gap assignments. Okay. And how each linebacker, based on a pre-snap read and then an immediate post-snap read, what do you do, right? And so we have at times this season seen some I would call it hesitancy from some of the backers insofar as what happens after that second read. And one of the things that Ryan Day and Kerry Combs and Matt Barnes did, especially after I want to say maybe the third game of the year, is they essentially tried to free up OSU's linebackers to be able to make the simplest and maybe most I would call the most athletic read insofar as fitting as a run gap fit. So I'd be really curious to see how well that actually went in when teams go and break down the film, because it felt like it was really, really bad at times where you had 2 guys filling one gap and then there was one open. The other thing I was really impressed by was Michigan's offensive line, their athleticism to get to that second level, which essentially blows your run fits to hell at that point, right? If those guys are hitting a nose guard or kicking out a DN and then able to get onto a linebacker, you've already lost that play, so to speak. So it'll be really it'll be fascinating, and I think you'll see some pretty obvious problems in that film breakdown that essentially Ohio State had no answers for because they kept losing at the line of scrimmage. And
this is how I feel right here. This comment is so on point. Essentially, it's a numbers game, and Michigan basically ran the same kinds of plays repeatedly, but they kept doing it in such a way that they had hats, right? They had more blockers than guys to block. You're going to get positive yardage repeatedly. Ohio State did not have one tackle for loss the whole game. How does that happen? Not once. Like, to me, man, like somewhere along the way, that's got to be a pride thing. And I realized the Buckeyes were playing a little banged up yesterday, but that's not an excuse. It's November 27th, man. No team in America is 100% healthy. Yeah. You know, Cody Simon and Steele Chambers have probably emerged as Ohio State's best two linebackers this year in a group that obviously is, you know, has been under the magnifying glass a little bit. And I've sung Steele Chambers' praises a lot. Tommy Eichenberg didn't see the field a whole lot yesterday. You know, the defensive backs, if not for Bryson Shaw's interception, I mean, you're kind of looking for any positive plays. It all around from start to finish, man. It was Michigan completely and totally imposing their will on the Buckeyes. And sometimes it was for gains of 2 or 3. Most of the time, I mean, they averaged 8 yards per play. 8 yards per play. And they ran 18 fewer plays than Ohio State did. And they had more yardage and obviously beat the Buckeyes by 2 touchdowns. They didn't have a single third down in the second half. Not one. 4 touchdown drives without a third down. Are you kidding me? Man.